welcome back, my friends, all to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. A very, very different one. Survival knives, work tough gear rendition. Now listen, this is an experiment. We're going to look at all kind of knives. They're all going to be work tough gear. We hear the term survival over and over, and we talk about it over and over. It's about as overused as EDC is, right? I'm going to move this up here real quick. I'm going to turn it around. Y'all just bear with me. There'll be some rubbing. We use the term survival a lot. We talk about survival knives. And when you see survival knife videos, it's usually a guy pretty knowledgeable telling you what would be your best knife. I wonder when I watch those. Now, there's a lot of guys who do those that are very, very good. Very good. They know what they're talking about. But the more I watch them, you know what I start to see? I start to see a pattern where they're showing knives that are tried and true. Cool, man, that's awesome. Kept parts and Nessmucks and Bowies and small knives and things like that. I want to do something different. This is the Famine from Work Tough Gear. And I'm not going to tell you if you can survive with it or not. You're going to tell me. But I want to have some fun with it. This was designed by Keith McKenzie. It was designed as a fighting knife. Now, I'm not here to tell you what it's good at and what it's not. Every knife you're going to see in this video has a hard use video with it, an actual use video. I love this knife. I adore it. I really do. I carry it dicking around quite a bit. I just love knives, just like you guys. But could I really survive with that? Let's talk about it. I'm going to show you knives. This is the Famine. Y'all remember that, because here's what I want you to do. I want this to be fun, and I want it to be enjoyable, and I want your input. I want this to be 100% feedback. And the reason for that is this. One is I like reviewing, demonstrating, whatever you want to call it, knives, but I find myself from time to time going, well, I could survive with it, but could I? Could I? That's the thing. That's the question, isn't it? See, it don't make shit what kind of knife you got. It's your skill set. I believe that. But what I really want to do with this video is I want you guys' input. Would your skill set suit what I'm going to show? I'm going to show you all kind of knives. Some are going to be crazy. Some are going to go scab, there ain't no way. But I want you to do one thing for me. I want you in this video, I want you to watch it. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to comment on it. But I want you to suspend reality just a little bit, and here's why. Tonight, we're only going to show work tough gear. If I get a good response off of this, I will do a complete kind of survival knives and accoutrement video with all kind of brands. What I want you to do is when I show a knife, when I show the Famine, I don't want you to, because the natural tendency is, well, man, I'm going to go with this, and you're going to name your favorite knife or the knife you're comfortable with. Cool, I get it. I want you to act like every knife I show is the only knife you can have. Now, I'm not a one-tool option guy, so I'm going to pair some up. But the truth is, could I survive with that? Now, here's the reality. Here's the reality. It's two things. One, it's skill set. Two, it's your will to live. You see, if this is all I have, and I don't want to die, I'm going to learn to use it. I want you to let me know, out of the knives I show, what there's no way you could survive with, or what you think you could survive with. Different, I know, but I want to have some fun with it. I want to start kind of expanding what we do a little bit and open some more conversation up. Up here, guys, I have the Sylvanus belt knife. It's a recurve. That's a pot holder. Guys, Work Tough Gear does such a great job. The only way this is a weakness is if the heat treat's not there. I'm addressing it for a couple of reasons. One is there was a time where I said, oh man, that's a weak spot. But you know what? After talking to guys like William Collins, if you take a kukri, typically they have cutouts like this in the bottom. What those do is they allow the stress of the knife. They allow for bending, and they allow the harmonics of the knife, right? If heavy use and baton, they allow that kind of beating on it to run to those things. You know what I'm talking about, the two cutouts down here on a kukri. So while this is to get a pot holder, it can also be a place where it can alleviate some stress. I just wanted to address that real quick. The Sylvanus is a recurve. It has a 90-degree spine. It fits pretty good in hand. Now, what I'm going to do is if I come across one that is a purpose-built fighter, I'll let you know. I still want your input. Could you survive with it? Here's the truth. This knife, the Sylvanus, designed by Isaac Thiel, I actually like a lot. I think it's one of the more underrated knives from Work Tough Gear. I really, really do. Now, the next run, Mr. Vic's taking that out. Enough people bitched about it. They're going to take it out. Let me say this. A lot of times I come across kind of as an asshole, or kind of, I love every knife and I want it. Every knife I think can work. No, when I get a knife in, just like I ask you to do, and kind of suspend reality and just focus on that's the only knife you got. Guys, when I review a knife, that's the only knife I'm worried about. That's the only knife in hand. So when I get a knife in to demonstrate or review and it's got that cutout, I'm not defending it. I'm telling you what it's for. I'm trying to get into the designer's head a little bit. That's kind of the thing. It keeps it fresh for me. Sometimes I'm wrong. A lot of times I'm wrong. A lot of times I'm right. So the Sylvanus is up here. The Pouzon Wilderness EDC is up here. Designed by Dave Pouzon. It is a small EDC-able Bowie knife. Remember this one, because what I'm doing is I'm showing you some knives we can pair up. The Nomad Bushcrafter, Scandi Ground. Now, guys, remember, all of these smaller knives and bigger knives have 90-degree spines. The Nomad Bushcrafter, this was Knife of the Year, I believe, 2023. This is my most carried knife, okay? So anything that I show you as far as survival goes, I'm going to pair with that. And that's what I want to do with this. I don't want a one-knife option. I want to make some pairs. I want you to put in the comments, hey, Scab, I could make that one knife work, or Scab, I think we need to pair that up. This video might be a little disjointed, but it's to show you some knives. It's to get my head centered around a topic and let us have some fun. It's probably going to be a longer one. What the hell else you got to do? When we think survival, and again, that's a big catchphrase, catch-all phrase in today's EDC, knife, that kind of climate. You know, oh, what would you do to survive? Survive. The truth is, man, I'm not out for survival, right? I like thinking about it. I like practicing the skill set. This is my tail, right? Belt knife. You could skin an animal. You can make a fire. You can do shelter. It's a great little belt knife. Another great little belt knife. The Forester. Love this knife. Small, compact. A lot of you guys prefer these type of knives. The truth is, I would pair, I'm not going to be that one tool option. I'm just not. There's so many things. Let's talk about survival as we look at knives. So when we think about survival, well, there's a couple things. First thing everybody goes to, self-defense, right? So let's throw in self-defense. Can you defend yourself with it? That's going to be a parameter, not just from humans or zombies. Guys, there's animals out there. There's all kind of traps and catch-alls. So you're going to have to defend yourself. I know here in Florida, there's a bunch of things we have to be careful of. So depending on where you're at, being able to defend yourself, cooking, skinning game, caping, building shelter, building traps, right? Making tools around camp. All of these things have to be factored in for survival. I think weight has to be a factor. Now, we're suspending belief, so we're not carrying tomahawks. We're not doing all that, okay? So this is the King Destructo. I don't think I could survive with this. I think that I could chop. I think that I could hack. I think that if I really, really had to, and it was available, I could probably fillet some fish. I could probably gut some fish. I could probably clean some fish. Is this ideal for me and my skill set? No. Would it be badass? Yeah. But I don't want to die because I'm carrying a badass knife, right? Let's be real. I love this. This is one of my all-time favorites. So and I know we're going through these fast, and I know I'm asking you a lot, but I'm really kind of building up to another video, okay? And it's Work Tough Gear Wednesday. Here's a knife. And the other thing is, I really want to get you guys' opinion on not only just survival, but how many knives do you carry? Even if it's camping or if it's a hike or if it's whatever, put that in there too, right? Because something like this is the Nymph. It is designed by Jeremy Boulder Valentine. I love this knife. I would carry it for small things around camp. I would carry it. You could defend yourself with it. I would carry it for that. You can make it do a lot of things, but here's where we got to be careful. Every knife can't be a survival knife, can it? It can't. It really can't. It needs to be functional. It needs to be easy to sharpen. We've got to look at now. Here's one thing, when we start talking about survival knives and things like that, especially where I'm at in Florida, corrosion has to be a thing. How do you combat corrosion if you don't, have a backpack full of blade paste? The way they did back in the old days, you use that sumbitch every day. You use it, 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 you use it until it builds up that coating, until it builds up that patina that protects the blade. But these are things we have to factor in. And this is going to be a tough one for me. I want to do this because I want to be realistic about what we're doing. You realize every knife except the cleaver I said I could use. Bear that in mind. I want to show y'all something too at the end. So we've looked at the Famine. We've looked at the King Destructo. We've looked at the small stuff. Now let's get into the meat of this thing. This is the Bear Claw, designed by Alex from Aurora Borealis. It has a choil. Now listen, guys, the mountain lion, there's a lot of mountain lions on the Work Tuff website. I will put a link in the description. There's a lot of this one's younger brother. They had a drop. I missed the drop. I should have done better trying to get it out there. But the shape is a lot like this. It's just smaller. This is the Bear Claw. This is, to me, an all-around great knife. I like that they added more of a point for stabbing. Now, I believe, what is that? A drop point, modified clip, drop, something like that. The choil. Do you need a choil on a survival knife? A lot of people, and shout out to Peterbilt Knife Guy because he brought this up. Kev hates choils on big blades. His reasoning is you should always, his preference, not his reasoning, his preference is more blade. Hey, I'd rather have more blade. That's something to think about. And once he mentioned it, I always liked the choil, but here's the thing. There's a difference in standing here doing a video and liking the way this feels. By the way, I've got a couple of hard use videos on this. If you're new here, if this is your first video, we do a lot of actual use and actual testing. We're just not tonight. I got a lot of things going on. We'll get back to that this weekend. But there's a lot of difference in actually using this, right? And actually using it. It's one thing to see if I stand here and hold it, man, that's comfortable as shit. How is it for actual applicable use? Those are things. So y'all let me know, the Bear Claw. Could you use this knife to survive? The other thing I want to tell each and every one of you, regardless of the brand, if you are interested in a knife, I challenge you, and the designer has a video up of him using it. Watch that video. Alex has a skill set with his designs. I'm bringing this up. Zeke has a skill set. I'm bringing this up for a reason, guys. If you watch a video and the knife's designer looks like a monkey humping a football, like he just don't know what the hell he's doing, really think about that purchase. Really think, is he designing something just to get the sale? Is he designing something to be tactical? Because see, if you're going to base your life on it, it's not always about a fight. And I'm as guilty of mentioning self-defense a lot too, but I'm talking about shelter building. If you get caught out, even in Florida, we get very little cold weather. Very little cold weather. But dude, we got 90% humidity. So if it drops in the 50s here with 90% humidity, you can get hypothermia. So you're going to have to build a shelter. You're going to have to put together a shelter. Can you use the knife? Is it practical? This knife is the Warhammer. This one was designed by Paul Walker, not that Paul Walker, but Paul Walker. I absolutely adore this thing. It's reminiscent a little bit of a machete, although it is thicker, right? This is the Warhammer. There's a lot of functionality. Now, I would have to pair something with this. So if I took this with me on like, and here, let's talk about survival. What is survival? Usually, if you're in a survival situation, it happens on accident unless you're making a video for YouTube. And if you're wondering, the Band-Aids on my head, Megan makes me put them on because I've got a couple of scabs there that I pick incessantly. I shouldn't, but I do, right? If I was going to, okay, so can you survive with this? Well, I don't know that you could fully survive with just this. Again, necessity dictates practicality. Like, this is the only thing you got. My boy Isaac from Isaac's Knives and Knowledge said it best. If you love a knife enough, you can make it practical. One of the best things ever. I'd like to add to that. If your ass depends on a knife enough, you'll make that sumbitch practical. But we're not talking about making it practical. We're talking about a survival situation. Well, here's what I see with this knife. I could chop some shit up. I could start a fire because it's got a 90-degree spine. It comes sharp as shit still. It's got a lot of use, and it's got a very, very functional tip. There's a lot I could do if I need to plane, right? If I really had to get in there, and do some fine work, I could. Is it optimal? Is it ideal? Just like grabbing that blade? No. But I could pair it with the nymph, right? My ideal pairing with this, I think, would be my Nomad Bushcrafter, right? And then I think I would go, because I'm going to carry a belt knife, I'm going to have a pocket fixed blade, and then a bigger knife. See, if we're talking about, like, okay, you went hiking, you got caught, you got lost, you got whatever, you're going to be out there. You're lost. You're in a national park, you're wherever, and you got to find your way out, and you can pick 2 or 3 knives. I think I'd be fine with it. I got my trailing point. I can do a lot of work with that trailing point. I really can. Beyond just building a fire. I can make this thing work, and it's got enough room. It's got enough purchase right there. I can get in there. I've got this knife, which is amazing. Again, if I had to choke up, I could, but I can even come back here and do finer work, caping, skinning, etc. with this knife, and then leave my larger knife for self-defense, for building, for making a fire, etc. Remember now, we're talking about survival living. So the other thing that I think we have to address, and some of you guys that are hunters, some of you guys that are into survival and prepping and think, jump in here with some things, because I can't think of every scenario. I'm not about to sit here and tell you, oh my God, I'm a survivalist. I ain't. I car camp, for God's sakes. So throw out some scenarios for me. I'm going to do a lot more camping, but again, that's not survival. Those are situations where you can leave. Survival is when your ass is on the line. Can you make it work? Making it work and having a good knife for it, I think, is a big difference. And that's why I kind of wanted to go through this. I want to start working through some of this. I want to start working into some of the designs that are really a little bit more for that, because we're going to do some more camping out, and I want to take a few of those designs with me and just see if I can apply a skill set to learn. Many of you will be cheering for me to fail miserably because you love me that much. There's one in particular. Here we go. The V44X. We see this knife a lot. You see this knife a lot. This one was designed by Reese over at Well Regulated. I love my V44X. This is the SK85 version. Could you survive with this? Well, there's a lot you could do with it. Reese could. If you watch Reese's videos, he could do it. But could you? We see a Bowie knife. I'll tell you, when I see a Bowie knife, now when I see this Bowie knife, it is reminiscent of the Marine Raider Bowie from World War II. Badass kind of fighting knife, kind of a jungle knife. It's got a big enough blade, but it's kind of thin. So you kind of got that machete. Again, and one thing I do like about Work Tuff gear is Mr. Vic makes his blades big enough. Like when I'm doing that, that's comfortable. It might not be ideal, but it's comfortable, right? I can choke up. Now, again, you compare a smaller knife with it. I think this one might be a little more advantageous than most. The Bowie knife has been around for a long, long time, even predating Jim Bowie the Shape. I mean, this knife has put in a ton of work over the centuries. Could you use it? I'm going to be honest with you. I would struggle with something like this. I really would. It's not that I wouldn't want to. Hell yeah, I'd have it. I'd carry it. I'd give it hell. I'd try to learn it. But something like this with a Bowie knife, if you don't use a style every day or a lot, you're going to be in trouble. And that's why with my channel, you do see a lot of hard use reviews. Hell, even the shorts, we're cutting something or we're stabbing something or we're chopping something. A lot of times, honestly, with the way I run my channel, it's not so much to go, ooh, look at the knife, because Work Tuff gear makes some good shit. They really do. They really, really do. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am a huge proponent of Work Tuff gear. I used to kind of be like, oh, I don't give a shit. They've been good to me. But the truth is, you can be as good as you want. If your knife sucks, I can't get excited about it. They make good shit. They make me look good. They've been with me since about 2,000 or 3,000. And I think, good Lord willing, by tomorrow, next day, we'll go over 120,000. They make quality shit. And from the aspect of survival, I want a knife that'll hold up. They do. Now listen, people go, old Joe X, and I love Joe. Joe's a friend of mine and a brother in the blade. Well, Joe broke it. Joe breaks every single damn knife he touches. Every one without fail. That's what he does, right? I'm mentioning that for a reason. One, to shout out Joe and his channel. But two, if you're in a true survival situation, I don't really think you're going to be stabbing a car. You're not going to try to cut it up and eat it. You know, you might if you're a little insane, if you go crazy, but you're going to, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, your cutting tool, a tool that you're, whether it's cooking, whether it's putting it on the end of a stick and stabbing a fish, no matter what you're doing, you're wanting to take care of it, right? I know we get into this thing where well, scab, it won't chop a chain in two. I can't use it. What the hell situation are you in that your life's going to depend on your knife chopping a chain in two? If you're in that, you might want to just take your knife, stick yourself in the head. It'll be a lot faster, and that way people won't make fun of you when you were killed trying to chop a chain in two. I love this knife. Reese is a brother in the blade and a good dude. This has a good balance, but this is y'all's video. Tell me, could you use this knife, right? Could you survive with it? I know I changed the game by saying we can pair some up, but I want to be realistic, right? There's a couple of these knives, and I'll show you right here. If it came down to just, if you said scab, and I know we're running a little long, but that's kind of what we do. We ain't even touched 3 or 4 knives. If you said scab, pick out a couple knives. I'm going to pick out 3. I'm going to make my 3. What would I carry? Now, out of work Tuff gear, what would be my 3? Well, I think I got to go with the Nomad Bushcrafter. I think I do, because I like that one. So that would be one. That'd be one. Now, I'm talking about in the woods survival situation. I think I would go with the Nightmare 3. I think I would go with this because it is kukri-esque. It's not a true kukri, but again, that thing's sharp as shit. It has some great chopping power. It's got reach if I need it. So I've got a bigger knife. I've got my pocket fixed blade. This is where it gets tough on me because, okay, so we're talking about in the realm of survival. I would go with, we're just going to mix it up. So my first combination would be this, my Nomad Bushcrafter, and the JX Omega. Because while this is a longer knife, while it is a bigger knife, it has a lot of room on that handle. I can get a lot of different grips. I can do a lot of things with that. I can do, even though, here's my thing, even though these 2 knives are totally different, and even though they're both big knives, neither one of them are super heavy. Both of them are easy to control. You really don't know they're this big. If you're carrying them, like weight-wise, they're not that heavy. They're really not. Now, I realize too, guys, a lot of y'all are going, dude, ain't no way. I'm going with something 4 or 5 inches in blade length. I'm going with something manageable. And guys, the other side is I realize you're going to have some kind of firearm. I'm not a firearm channel. I'm not arguing with YouTube about it, okay? So, but in terms of real survival knife, this was made with a 1-tool option in mind. Chris Tanner's the designer. A lot of people, some people, I won't say a lot, but some people I've heard really, really love this handle. Some people hate it. Some people are, eh. I fall in the category of loving it. I love this one, and I love the JXV that I put in here. And I love it. I'll tell you why I love it. Because I can do 3 or 4 different, I can go from big knife, right, to chopping with some leverage, to up, medium. That's medium. There's no small on this knife. But with that clip point there, this one's thin behind the edge. It's razor sharp. It works well. I like it, but the handle resonates with me. And one thing I have to separate, and I just want this to be a real video. One thing I have to separate, man, is liking a knife and actually being able to use that sumbitch. That's big. A lot of times you see guys, well, this is my personal favorite. This is what I highly recommend. You know why I don't do that? Because I like some crazy stuff, right? I do. I'm going to put the time in to learn the crazy stuff. Most people aren't. Most people are like, dude, give me something like this. Where's it at? Right here. Most people will be like, bro, give me the Forester. Give me that. I'll thin that summit out behind the edge. It has a true 90-degree spine. It fits good. It's not god awful. It's not cumbersome. If I need to do some light batoning, I will. I can do whatever I want. This thing is comfortable in hand, and I get it. I would definitely, now you put a gun to my head and we're really coming down to brass tacks. It's probably going to be like the Kodiak or the Bear Claw, this and my Nomad Bushcrafter. I would like, oh, there were a couple more I wanted to show y'all. One thing I love about Work Tuff gear is they come up with some crazy shit. This is the Wilson, designed by Jeremy Boulder Valentine. Now you look at that, you call it a well-nosed kukri. Could you survive with it? I'm going to be honest with you. This is a knife that will astonish you. You almost have to hold it in hand. Now, if you relegate it to just being a chopper, then you've got a good chopper. You do have to take the time to learn it. But this knife was set up and designed for a one-tool option. Would I do that? No. Jeremy also designed the nymph, and he also designed the kitsune. So Jeremy's got a bunch of options in there. The Hondo and the Pathfinder. The Hondo and one of the kitsunes would be great. This is a knife that does not get the attention or recognition it deserves. I absolutely love this knife. Not everybody does. Not everybody can get past it. Do I think, now, out of all of them, do I really think I could survive with it? I really do. I really do. I really do. It's probably not going to be the best for skinning, but I'm going to have something smaller. But as far as the other tasks that we think about with survival, I think this thing, and it handles amazingly well. I'm really, you almost have to hold this thing in hand. It is a favorite. It's comfortable. Moving on. And we won't make this long. I just keep thinking of knives. I want to thank y'all. If you've made it to this point, thank you. I know this has been a little disjointed. I'm trying to build towards an overall video. I wanted to do this to get my thoughts together. And sometimes, guys, with me, the only way that I can do that is just by getting on here and talking and showing y'all knives. Now, I'm only going to show you 2 or 3 more, and we're going to wrap it because I got to clean all this crap up. This is the Hondo. Jeremy Boulder Valentine is the designer. This is a huge knife, but this isn't nowhere near as big as its big brother, the Pathfinder. This knife, again, is one of those knives that resonate with me. I would have no problem carrying this camping. Would I want to survive with it? I think you almost have to pair this up. And I know when I say survival knives, and I know I'm throwing some crazy stuff out there. I know that. I know a lot of you are going to go, nope. I know that too. But knowing the designer's intent, and this is what I'm kind of building to with this video. A lot of Work Tuff gear designers design their knives based on their experiences, right? Whether it's Tanner, whether it's Jeremy, no matter who it is. The Nightmare 3 was actually designed by Shaney at Shade, Indonesia. Jason Dixon designed one of my all-time favorite knives, period. That is the Dragoth. This knife was designed, could you survive with it? Guys, Jason said himself, he designed this knife for fun. Let me tell you something. This thing is a blast to use. I don't know that I'd want to go to, and this is in my top 3 big knives. So make no mistake, I love this knife. When it came down to just survival, I don't know that I'd carry it, right? I love it. I love everything about it. I love throwing it. I love stabbing with it. I love chopping with it. This thing is a beast. It's got a little bit of a smash it in it. It's got some other designs. While I'm here thinking about it, guys, the handle scales were done by Lucas Carroll, one of the best in the business. I'll put his business in the description, Carroll's Custom Handle Scales. Use Scab, you can get a 15% discount. As much as I love this knife, and it is in my top 3 big knives, I just love it. Loving a knife and survival are 2 different things. Some of you are going, I disagree with all of it. That's why I did this video. If you made it this long, this is why I did this video. Twofold. One is to really make you, or one is to get my thoughts together for the video. That's one. But 2 is to really start getting you guys to start thinking about actual survival knives. This knife was actually used by the tribes. This is the Atayal XL. The Atayal is a Taiwanese tribe. From what I understand, back in the day, their warriors carried these every day for not only weapons, for farming, fishing, whatever they needed. So they developed a skill set around this knife. Could I survive with it? whatever knife I show y'all and ask if I could survive with it, the truth is this: I would need ample time to get used to it, unless, of course, the world ended and this is what I have. And then by God, we're learning in a hurry. I wanted to do this video because I see so many videos that go from really, really good to outlandish with survival stuff. If you've noticed with me over these past couple months, I have really tried to hammer home, hey guys, build your skill set, make your own purchasing decisions based on your experience. Here again, this video, if you made it this far, it's some of you will be like, man, this is comical. Some of it's meant to be. Some of it's meant to be. Some of it is meant to be a little bit, hey, that's crazy. The other side is this, guys. That doesn't mean they're bad knives. I love these knives. I'll have these knives till I die. I'll use these knives. I'll take these knives camping. I'll learn the knife. But my point to you is this, because a lot of people buy knives for self-defense, and they buy it for survival, and they buy it for all these things, and they have no clue how to use it or if it's worth using. How do you know if it's worth using? Not by watching Old Scab. As much as I appreciate you, as much as I love you, as much as I want to thank you for watching, you know if it's good survival by your experience, by taking it out in your backyard, building a fire, cooking a steak, doing the things that you would do. If you go catch fish, fillet fish with it, put in the work, right? That's what this video is about. And it's just to say, hey, I wanted to show y'all Work Tuff gear. They've been so good to me. They make great quality stuff. Guys, not every knife's a survival knife. Work Tuff gear puts out a lot of them that are worth it, and that are. Absolutely are. And a lot of these knives, let me say this too, just because I see this a lot online too. We've started to do this a lot. People like to poo-poo something they don't understand. Just because your understanding of your skill set don't fit it, don't mean it's a bad knife. It just means it's one that you haven't really taken the time to learn yet. It may not appeal to you. I get it. All of these knives, all of them, are well built, well made, came razor sharp, and to some degree, each and every one of you could use them in a task that you would need for survival without going too deep into detail and without having to build that skill set. But a lot of these knives, people buy a lot of the Work Tuff gear because they love Work Tuff gear. They love the designer, and I do too. But guys, if you're going to buy a knife, if you buy this knife, when it comes back around, this is what the Nomad Field. If you buy this knife, and you're buying this knife because Zeke Menacho designed it, and Zeke's put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours camping and using this knife, and he can use it like an extension of his arm. If you're buying it for that and you never use it until the situation comes up, you're probably going to die. My point to you is this: Work Tuff gear, or whatever brand, if you buy it for self-defense or survival, use the son of a bitch, please. If you're going camping, take it with you. You can take your backup. You can take a knife, but take a knife. And I've seen guys do this. They'll buy a knife like this, have no experience with it. It'll be the only knife they take camping or hunting, and they get some mad. And I'm not saying this knife in particular, but a knife like this or any other knife. They've seen a YouTube video. That guy made it look good, and the designer made it look good. And they take the knife and they have a miserable experience. If you take a knife that you're not used to, take a backup. Because here's the truth. You don't know when you're going to step off trail and a storm blow in, or an ankle roll, or you go tumbling down a hill. And now you're in a situation where, holy shit, what was just fun to talk about on YouTube, I'm here now. I want to start looking more and more at the realities of knife use. Okay. I love y'all. God knows I do. I've rambled too long. Again, this might have been a little disjointed. I want to thank you if you've made it to this part. For watching so long and bearing with me. I feel like my next video will be better. I really do. As I've gone, I've gotten more and more ideas, but instead of just continually and running on and on and on, we're going to cut it. There was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Veterans Day is coming up, November the 11th. November the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Joe and I, Joe from JS Bladecraft, shout out to him, on Blade Talk with Scab and Joe, we'll be hosting Eric Hansen, Ernie Emerson, Greg Medford, and Curtis Iavito. It will be probably the biggest, seriously, one of the biggest meetings of just legendary knife makers ever on YouTube. We did it on Veterans Day, one, to celebrate veterans, but two, It is my goal. It is my goal to scream it from the rooftops. I'm not a veteran. My son is, and my wife is. My goal is to raise awareness about veteran suicide, 22 a day. The other goal is this. I'm not a charity. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to get sympathy. I don't need it. What I want you to know if you're a veteran is we support you. We love you. You have a place here. You're welcome here. That's it. I back the blue. It's one of the most controversial. Most people get all up in arms on it. Here's the truth. I'm not shoving it down your throat. It's something I believe in. I've explained it a million times. I'm not explaining it anymore. My thing is I'm not arguing with you about it. Why? You're not going to change your mind. I'm not going to change mine. It's just one of my causes. Finally, if you are an addict, and I am, Lord knows I am, never quit quitting. Well, guys, thank y'all. I hope this isn't as bad as I'm thinking it is. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you. God knows I do. God bless you. Hope he does. I'm Scab. You're not. Thank y'all for checking this one out. I'm gone, son. Bask in the sweetness. By the way, old Scabber's down about 235, wearing an extra large shirt, 36 pants.